Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Thank you for being here. My name is Andrew, coming to you from the beautiful Carolinas. Today's topic is going to be what the narcissist needed then and now. Think about that for a minute. Everyone, if you like the content, please like, subscribe, and share. So when you were in the narcissistic relationship, you served a purpose. You were looked at as an opportunity to take advantage of. And back then, whenever you entered that relationship with the narcissist, they sized you up. They figured out what made you tick. They figured out your hopes, dreams, aspirations, goals, your past relationships, where you came from, if you had siblings or if you were close with your parents. They learned all about you. They figured out what made you you. They learned about your job, your hobbies, your social circle, your status, if you traveled, if you had money, if you had an inheritance coming down the road, if you were an empath. And yes, they can figure out if you're an empath within a second, just the way you talk to them, just the way you look at them, just the way you compose yourself. Now, this is before you get the wisdom. It's before you become the educated empath, which is a video I created about 6 months ago. This was when you were naive. This was when you were perhaps a people pleaser, when you were a yes person, when you couldn't say no, the strongest word in the English language, and when you didn't have boundaries. Most likely what you were doing is you were in a vulnerable position when you met the narcissist. Now, jump in if this resonates with you. Drop comments below. Perhaps you just experienced a death in the family. Maybe you just got a new job. Maybe you just lost a job. Maybe you just moved halfway around the town, city, country, or globe. Maybe you were new to a community or hobby group that you just joined. Maybe you just moved into a new apartment or neighborhood. Maybe you started a new job. I think I mentioned that, but something was new with you, something. You were vulnerable, and you did not know your worth back then. You did not know your value. What you knew is that, or no, what you thought back then is that people were like-minded. People had your best interest at heart. People would be there for you in a pinch, and people cared about you. In other words, you believe that people were like-minded as you are. That is not true. The truth of the matter is many people are envious of you. Many people are jealous of you. Many people want to be you. And that is the narcissist in a nutshell. They are insecure creatures. They are anxiety-riddled. They are hollow, they're shallow, they're empty. They need to steal from other people to keep themselves moving from relationship to relationship. That's how they catapult themselves throughout life. So way back then, what the narcissist needed and what they need now, back then they needed you to springboard them through life for a couple years, maybe a decade, or maybe 40 years, who knows, but they saw what you could do for them, and they captured you as a human being, and they placed you in that zombie-like, trance-like state, the narcissistic fog. So going back, and please understand this, in the narcissistic abusive cycle, there are usually 4 parts of it. One is the love bomb / euphoric stage, when you meet the narcissist and you're smothered with fake empathy, fake love, fake attention, fake adoration, future faking, all these things. Second part is the devaluation stage, when they know that they have you because you've probably professed to them that you love them, or you relocated it, or moved in with them, or started a business, or created a family. That is the longest part of the relationship, the devaluation stage usually. And then the third part would be the discard, or if you ended it yourself. Either way, you had to break free from that toxic narcissistic relationship one way or the other. And 4, at times, people receive hoovers. Now what a hoover is, it's kind of like the vacuum cleaner. The hoover is when the narcissist is testing you to see how strong you are, if you will go back into that relationship with another round of abuse, punishment, and manipulation. Not everyone receives a hoover. If you haven't, consider it a badge of honor. If you did, and you learned from that, drop comments in the community below, pay it forward. And if you are experiencing a hoover right now, or you had one recently, you know now to go no contact, block the narcissist, delete them, remove all fly monkeys and people associated with them. In other words, do not accept a hoover. Now that's the cycle. But as I mentioned in the past, when the narcissist sank their dirty fangs into you, they had you most likely fall in love with them, or enter a business or a relationship with them in some capacity. And this is when they wore the mask. This is when they were getting really close to you, and they were trying to figure out what they could take from you in the quickest amount of time, if possible, and how much resources you actually did have. In other words, was there something you weren't telling them? Probably not. You were probably very forthright and honest and genuine and authentic. That's how I am. And that's when these people, the narcissists, that's when they look at themselves and they say, wow, this is almost too good to be true. This person, which was you, it's a layup for me. It's so simple. All I have to do is bat my eyelashes at them and show them my rosy colored cheeks, and say yes to a bunch of things in the beginning of the relationship and get them to fall in love with me. And when I do that, then I will slowly pull away and I will place them in the narcissistic fog or the devaluation stage. This is how the cycle goes on and on. But as the thumbnail mentions, what the narcissist needed then and now, back then they needed someone to raise the kids perhaps, or to put a roof over their head, or to give them a cover to the exterior world. In other words, maybe you married the narcissist and it made them look like they fit in with everybody else on the planet because they could be married. Wink, wink, maybe they're married 2, 3, 4, 5 times, who knows? I'm not saying everyone that gets married multiple times is a narcissist. That's the last thing I'm saying. I'm saying the narcissist cannot sustain marriages, and usually something will break in the marriage. And usually, if you want the truth, something is broken right after those wedding bells have rung, because that's when you normally enter the devaluation stage. And now what you're trying to do there is get back to that euphoric / love bomb stage, back to the fakeness. And you never could quite get there, could you? No, you couldn't, because the narcissist was not trying to give you anything. They were trying to take things from you. And when they did their hard work or heavy lifting in the beginning of the relationship during the euphoric stage, what they said was, okay, I'm gonna have to put some time into this one, maybe 3 months, 6 months, maybe even a year, who knows? But eventually I'll get them to fall in love with me. And now I am acting like the narcissist right now. The narcissist, I know I can't fall in love. I know that I don't have empathy, and I know I don't care about anybody on the planet but myself. But what I also know is that this person, which was you, doesn't have the wisdom. They don't know that narcissism is prevalent on the planet, and they don't know that I have, that I'm a toxic narcissist. So I will make it appear using smoke and mirrors that everything's going great in the relationship until I get that wedding ring on my finger, or until I do move in with them, or they buy me a house or a car, or we have kids, whatever it's going to be. And that's when I know I have them hooked. Everything in the narcissistic relationship is a hook. It's the two dirty fangs getting hooked into you, and you need to remove these and remove the venom as soon as you possibly can. Now, healing, again, side note, pro tip, the healing path is not linear. It will take time. It will take a lot of time, but in your time you will heal. I healed, and I did it during one of the most challenging times on the planet, during a pandemic. If I did it isolated and all alone for 2 years and 2 days, trapped in my house, believe me, you can do it, because you've made it this far in the video and you are understanding that it's going to take a mountain of work. But again, if I did it, you can do it. Getting back, as the thumbnail mentions, back then what the narcissist needed is they needed a cover. They need someone to start a business for them. They needed someone to spend their money on them traveling around the globe. They needed someone to put a roof over their head. They needed someone to make it look good to the school system that the person they married is a kind, loving, stable individual. Although, throughout the relationship, you remember this, you need to understand something. Throughout the relationship, once the wedding bells rang, you were being smeared. I can assure you. The smear campaign did not happen once you were discarded. It was well underway once they knew they had you. Now, did it happen the exact day that you told them you loved them? No. But over time, the narcissist got jaded and bored with you and with the relationship, because each and every narcissistic relationship has an expiration date, and yours was no different. But the narcissist needs new shiny toys. They need new sources of supply. That's why, number one, they discarded you. Number two, they trapped you in the zombie-like, trance-like state, the narcissistic fog. Number three, they took everything from you that they could. But more importantly, for this part of the video, that's why they instilled or initiated the smear campaign, because they did not want anyone looking at you in a better light than people were looking at them. Really get that message. The narcissist is always in competition with people, including their own spouses, including their own children, including their own parents, including anybody that they associate with. They're always comparing the car that they drive, the clothes that they wear, the hairstyle, the people that they hang out with or spend time with, the courses that they take, the classes that they take, the countries they visit, the food they cook or prepare, the hobbies that they have. The narcissist is in a constant state of competition with virtually anything that is around them, and you are no different. But back then, what the narcissist needed from you, they needed you to provide a lifestyle for them. Let's say it was for 6 years, maybe 7 years, maybe 10 years, who knows? But the narcissist knew that that relationship eventually would crash, because they would make sure that they punctured holes in the boat that the two of you were in. And remember, you were not paddling with the narcissist or the person headed in the same direction. You weren't doing that. First of all, you didn't know the narcissist was a narcissist because you weren't taught this in school. Second of all, you were keeping your end of the promise. You were keeping your end of the vows, rowing in that boat, heading in the direction that you thought the both of you were headed, but nothing, and I mean nothing, could be further from the truth. The truth is you were rowing upstream in a canoe that the holes were being punctured in each and every day, because this is how the narcissist drives wedges and divides your relationship with them and virtually anyone else's relationship with you that matters, which includes your immediate family members, your friends, your hobby groups, your status social circle, anybody, neighbors, coworkers, anybody that meant anything to you. The narcissist will find a way to use the smear campaign or drive wedges between you and them. That's why so frequently in these narcissistic relationships, you'll understand that there are always secrets. There are always little bubbles, little groups of groupies that surround themselves with the narcissist. Now, some of these people themselves may be toxic narcissistic people, who knows? Other people may be people that are trapped in the zombie-like, trance-like state. They just think that, oh, I get to spend time with the narcissist. This is great. I get to learn about what's going on in their life, and maybe I can spend more time with them. People do think that way. Why? Because they're in it so deep, they don't even know what's going on, but they're being manipulated and played themselves. It's not until you get the wisdom and you apply the tools that are provided for you here in the community and you share your insight and experience with everybody, dropping comments and paying it forward, that you understand that you were not the only person to go through this relationship. It wasn't you. You weren't the first. You definitely won't be the last. Because think about this. Think about the people that were in the narcissistic relationship before you met the narcissist. Well, was the narcissist married a couple times? Who knows? Are those people on the planet to defend themselves or explain themselves? Who knows? Are those people long gone and they've blocked the narcissist and deleted them and removed all people associated with them? Probably. Did they figure out what narcissism was? I can't tell you. I don't know. What I do know is you're paying it forward. You're understanding. You're getting light bulb moments on this video. Play the video. Play it often. Use this as a reminder to help you heal. Because it's not just you who was in the narcissistic relationship. There are hundreds of millions of people all over the planet right now who are trapped in these relationships. And yes, I do mean hundreds of millions of people, because there are 8 billion people currently on the planet. Think about it. What percentage of that is 1 or 200 million percentage of 8 billion? You get the point. I'm great at math, but I just stumbled there. Having said all these things, these people, many of them don't get the wisdom. They're in it too deep, so they can't wrap their head around what's going on, and they're being berated and hammered and peppered with abuse, manipulation. Maybe they're tethered to the narcissist. They're experiencing verbal abuse, mental abuse, financial abuse, emotional abuse, spiritual abuse, at times physical abuse, and they don't know what's going on. What they do know is this thing keeps going around and around and around, but they never get that needle in a haystack. They never get that light bulb moment, and they feel that there's nothing better for them out there. That may have been you in the past. It sincerely may have been. I can share one thing from my personal experience. To a degree, that was me. I knew something was off. I did not know what it was. I could not figure it out. I will tell you this, and if any of you have done this, really drop comments below. If any of you watching the video throughout the relationship with a person were taking notes on that relationship about the person, or about how you were feeling, or how you were not being treated properly, or how you were not being listened to, or how you were not being respected, or how you felt anxious when you talked to this person, or how you would drop everything you were doing and pick up your phone when that person texted you or called you, or any other things like that. If you're taking notes about the relationship you're in, or if you're researching things on Google or YouTube, these are huge red flags. They are telling you, yourself, your body, your aura, your soul, your spirit is telling you that something is off, but you couldn't wrap your finger around it. You couldn't wrap your head around it because you never got that needle in a haystack. And that's exactly what I did. I took notes, and I took notes on my phone in 2017. I couldn't figure out what was going on around me, but guess what? I didn't get the wisdom. I didn't get the tools or the knowledge until years later, but I knew something was off, but I couldn't put my finger on it. That's why so many people in the community, we all have experienced many of the same experiences, just in different timelines with different people in different communities and organizations or towns. This is why the narcissist is a clone of each other. They are exactly the same people trapped in the same loop of manipulation, lies, destruction, deceit, and crushing people's lives. This is the narcissistic abusive cycle. So what the narcissist needed back then and what they need now, back then they needed you to play ball. They needed you to make them look good, to make them feel good, to be a sounding board, because you were new. You were a new shiny object back then, and you provided so much for the narcissist. You put them high on a pedestal, and you elevated them, and you catapulted them forward to the detriment of yourself. And that's why when you were discarded or the relationship ended, you had to really pick yourself up by the bootstraps and dust yourself off and understand, wow, that relationship almost took me down for the count, but it didn't. I am still here. I am learning. I am growing. I am becoming awakened and aware, educated and empowered. And I want nothing to do with that individual or any person from that period of time, because those people back then, many of the people when you were discarded, they grabbed their popcorn, they watched their life implode. And many of those people sat on the sidelines and did nothing. Many of those people contributed to the smear campaign. Many of those people were smearing you throughout the whole relationship when you were there. You just didn't know it, or you tolerated it because you didn't know what you were up against. You thought that people were like-minded, like you are. You thought people cared about you. You thought people had other people's best interest at heart. None of those things are true. Now, there are good people on the planet. There are many good people on the planet, but these people, you have to find them. They don't just magically walk up to you and say, hey, I want to be your friend, and they love bomb you for 3 months. Next thing you know, there's a ring on your finger, and you've traveled to Tahiti, Japan, and Rome, and next thing you know, you've relocated. You're not talking to your family members, your siblings. You're isolated. Now your job has disappeared because the narcissist doesn't want you to work, because now you become financially dependent on them, and a couple years go by and now you are isolated. You're a shell of yourself. You've lost your identity. Your future is ripped up and torn, and now you're trapped. You have no money. Your health is ailing. You have no resources. You're all alone by yourself. This happens every single day on the planet. Every day. Remember, as I'm creating this video for you, everyone on the planet, understand this. There are people that are entering toxic and narcissistic relationships right now as I create this video and as you consume it. There are other people who are being discarded this very moment. There are other people who are getting their first light bulb moment on what narcissism is. There are other people who are blocking this person for the first time ever. There are other people who are blocking and unblocking, playing the blocking game because they can't quite get over the hump yet. They can't quite wrap their head around the fact that the narcissist or the person they're trying to get away from or block doesn't have their best interest at heart. And they think there's a tiny little sliver of hope there for the narcissist to change. The narcissist can't change. The only thing they change is the mask they wear to manipulate other unsuspecting people all over the globe. That's what they do. The narcissist doesn't care about you. They don't care about me. They don't care about anybody but themselves. And that is why the cycle continues to go around and around and around. And remember, the one constant in the narcissistic abusive cycle is the narcissist. This is why they can't introspect. This is why they disappear. This is why they blow up every relationship they become a part of, because they don't want to improve. They don't want to learn and grow and heal. They don't believe there's anything to heal from. They are self-serving, blood-sucking energy vampires, and what they are walking doomsday machines. They are destined to end up alone. They are destined to become the aging narcissist. They are destined to implode every relationship that they become a part of. That's why they're children of the narcissist. Many times, if they don't turn out to be toxic themselves, many times they want nothing to do with their parent. It takes them time. Many times it's in their 30s, 40s, 50s, maybe even in their 60s. Or you could flip it. Maybe you're the parent of a narcissist or a toxic person. And maybe it took you 50, 60, 70 years to finally realize that your child, you love them, but you need to love them from afar. They're not going to change. So you're going to have to block them. And it's a tough pill to swallow, but there's going to be one outcome here. It's going to be your health and your sanity and your future, or you continuing to contribute to a toxic narcissistic son or daughter that you have. I hear this frequently. I hear it so frequently. It's just the same script, just flip it. The point being here is this thing called life is your journey. It's your experience. It's my experience. And you need to live as toxic-free, drama-free, and manipulating-free life as you possibly can. This is why I share so frequently on the channel. Once you have processed what narcissism is, and you've gone down the rabbit hole of exploration and discovery, and you understood that, yeah, probably you didn't have boundaries. That's the number one thing people need help with, is boundaries. And you probably didn't know your own value or worth. And then you had to realize that not everyone thinks the way you think. And yes, you were taken advantage of for a period of time. Maybe it was your whole life until right now. Maybe this is the first video you're consuming. You're like, oh my gosh, I finally get this, Andrew. I get the message. Not everyone does think like me. Not everyone cares about me. Not even my own family members. They've never been there for me throughout my life. They're not there for me now either. Are they going to wish me Happy New Year or Merry Christmas or whatever holiday I celebrate? Probably not. Are they going to hit me up for money or try and get me on a phone call for 5 hours and talk about their problems and everything once a week still? Probably. Is this going to continue on and on? It will continue until you get the message and you become unavailable. Another video I created in 2023. Check it out. Becoming unavailable is a superpower. Now, I'm not saying become unavailable and not talk to people on the planet. I'm saying don't talk to energy vampires. Don't let anyone know what you're doing, your whereabouts, who you're with, what your plans are, where you're moving to, what you're vacationing, because it's all going to get blown up. Think about this example and play this part again, because this is instrumental. It's a small thing, but it's actually very important. Think about this. When you were with the narcissist, let's say you got a promotion or a pay raise, and you worked hard to get it. And you would go home and you would tell them, hey, I just got a pay raise, you know, I'm doing this, and this. And they will look at you like you're from Mars, and they'll be like, really? It only took you 4 years to get that. Like, you should be way further ahead than that. What's going on with you? What's the problem here? Like, you're not going to ever make it. So they would put you down, berate you. And then let's say you got a pay raise again in another year. You would tell them again, and you get a similar result. Third time you get a pay raise, what happens? You go home, you don't want to tell them. Why? Because they're going to blow it up for you. They're not going to give you a big hug and say, hey, let's go celebrate and get a great lobster dinner. No, they're going to say, okay, that's great. So what's the big deal? I'll talk to you in a few minutes. I've got to go boil an egg. Really, good luck with your promotion, but that's not really important. They would say things like that. And then, so you realized that you had to become silent. You weren't silenced necessarily, but then again, you were. But you figured out back then you couldn't share good information with the narcissist or the toxic person because they would never embrace it or welcome it. They would just poo-poo it or say, okay, well, whatever. I really have other things to do. Let me get back to Amazon shopping, or let me go finish watching this rerun from 30 years ago. Whatever they would do, but they wouldn't pay attention to you. So why I'm saying that is, if you find yourself in a relationship with anybody and you can't share your beautiful experiences or your growth or something positive that just happened with you, that's a red flag. It's a huge red flag, because if you can't be yourself with somebody, no matter who it is, then that person's not going to be there for you. You need to get the message. What you want are stable, healthy relationships with reciprocal individuals, people that will talk to you like a tennis match. Ping, 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 ping. The conversation goes back and forth, and they do as much listening as they do talking. But they don't just listen, they hear, and they digest your words, and they process them, and they give you insight or wisdom or a different perspective. And then the two of you can agree or disagree on certain things, and then you move forward, and then you talk again, maybe the next day or the next day. But there's no judgment there. There's not someone being silenced. There's no envy or jealousy or greed or changing the topic when you accomplish something. This is how the narcissist wants you to be. The narcissist wants to mold you into whatever they wanted. So as the thumbnail mentioned, what the narcissist needed back then, they needed you to provide a whole bunch of things for them during that period of time in their life. Now, what does the narcissist need now? They need the exact same thing, but not from you, from another unsuspecting individual. Because let's take the business example. Maybe now their business is crushing it. They're doing great. Maybe they're not. Who knows? Maybe they've gotten married 3 or 4 times. Who knows? Maybe they've relocated. Who knows what they're doing? The point is, they've now aged. They're older, and their needs and wants are different than what they were in the past. So they will look for another source of supply who can accommodate them, who perhaps can give them a beach house in Tahiti, or who can give them a private jet, or who can help them get their business to the next level, or who can offer them a bigger house. Whoever it is, the narcissist is always looking to upgrade their relationships. They cannot stay stationary, or they cannot just be with one person. You may say, yeah, well, Andrew, the narcissist I know, I married them 20, 30, 40 years. You're right, you probably did. And if you were in the narcissistic fog or you were caught up in it, I get it, but were you the only source of supply? I don't think you were. I think they had multiple sources. I'm not saying romantic exclusively, but the narcissist needs multiple sources of supply. Not just one person will ever cut it. So what the narcissist needs now, they just need someone else to hoodwink, someone else to manipulate, someone else to bat their eyelashes at, someone else to deal with their fake empathy, their fake love, their fake humanity, and to fall victim or fall prey to the narcissistic fog and have that person get drained from their energy and their resources. Because the narcissist is always looking to insert their dirty fangs into somebody and extract as much as they possibly can. While extracting resources, they are trying, and they accomplish, inserting venom, toxicity, manipulation, confusion, chaos, the division of wedges between you and anything that matters to you. This is how the narcissist goes on and on and on. So everyone, that's the video. I hope you liked it. I loved doing it from the beautiful Carolinas. This is Andrew. Namaste. Have a great afternoon, evening, or morning, no matter where you are on the planet. You are not alone. Remember that. You are not alone. God bless you all. I love you. And I will come up with either a short or a bonus video this afternoon if I can do it. Everybody, please reflect back on the past year. Understand where you are now is not where you will be in 3 months, 6 months, 9 months. Celebrate your wins. Focus on yourself. Continue to place your energy within yourself. Understand that if you can take action now. If not now, when? And understand you are the priority. You come first, second, and third. I love you all. God bless you, and I'll talk to you hopefully later today. Bye.